My name is Jay Lin, and whenever people see me, their first question is always about how I ended up in a wheelchair like this. Their second question is how someone like me ended up with the best job at the biggest company in the country. Today, I'm going to tell you a story that answers both of these questions at once. But before that, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. It all started back when I was in college. I was applying for all sorts of jobs at all sorts of companies in the area. But the job I wanted most was the one working for Corporate Connections, the biggest company I'd ever heard of. When I got an interview there, I spent weeks preparing for it. I heard that their hiring manager was really harsh, and I wanted to make sure that I was super prepared. When the day of the interview came, I put on my best suit and took the bus to the center of the city where the company was. I was walking between the bus stop and the building when I noticed a little girl selling Girl Scout cookies. I didn't even have time to think about whether I should buy some food before I noticed something terrible. The girl was starting to cross the street, and at the same time a car was coming down the road full speed. I didn't even have time to think. I couldn't let the girl be hurt. I rushed into the road in front of her and pushed her out of the way. The next thing I knew, I was hit by the car. It hurt more than anything I'd ever experienced before, and I knew I was bleeding very badly. But before I passed out entirely, I managed to see the little Girl Scout was safe on the sidewalk. That made everything worth it, and even though I was horribly injured, I was smiling as I fell unconscious, knowing I had done a good thing. I didn't wake up again for a long time, and when I did, I didn't recognize the things around me.
Mr. Lin, you're awake!
Yes, I'm awake. Where am I?
You're in a hospital. Do you remember what happened?
When she asked the question, it all came back to me. I remembered the Girl Scout and the crash. I realized then that I hadn't made it to the interview that I had been going to. I had to hope that they would accept my explanation about why I was late. I remember that I missed my interview. Can I please borrow a phone? I need to call the hiring manager and explain.
I don't think you should be worrying about work right now. You were hurt very badly. You need to rest and focus on getting better.
Please, I just need to explain. I'm sure they'll understand, and once I have the job under control, I will have plenty of time to worry about getting better. Reluctantly, she gave me the phone. I called the hiring manager at Corporate Connections. Who is this? This is Jay Lin, sir. I was to have an interview for a job at your company, but while I was on my way to the interview, I got into an accident. I'm in the hospital now, but I would really like to try the interview again as soon as I'm feeling better. Jay Lin? Your interview was days ago. You could have at least called. I'm sorry, sir. I've been unconscious. I was hit by a car and... He interrupted me before I could finish explaining. I know you're lying to try and get sympathy. You're just too lazy to show up to your own interview. And you're trying to make up for it now with an absurd lie. Let me save both of us some time and tell you that we don't hire people who don't even bother to show up for their interviews. And besides, we filled the position already. Even if I wanted to hire you, I couldn't. He hung up the phone on me, and I was really upset. I had really wanted that job. I gave the phone back to the nurse with a sigh. I was really hoping I would get that job. Now I'm going to have to go on even more interviews.
I don't think you're going to be able to go on any interviews anytime soon. You broke almost all of your bones in the crash. You're not going to be able to get out of bed for weeks. And I don't know if you'll ever be able to walk again.
When she told me that, I started to cry. I couldn't go on interviews from my hospital bed. I wouldn't even be able to go to school. I lost my chance at the job I wanted most, and I might not even be able to walk again. I didn't really think I'd ever be happy with my life anymore. Even though I was really sad, I worked really hard for the next few months to get better. I never did manage to walk again, but with the right physical therapy and training, I learned how to use a wheelchair and do all the things that I could do before the accident. Unfortunately, Getting better took all of my time, and the medical bills were very expensive. I couldn't afford to stay in college, and so I had to drop out without getting my degree. I knew no big company would hire me without a degree, but even once I was better, the debt would be too much and I couldn't afford to go back to school. I had to get the only job I could, which ended up being a janitor at the same school I used to be a student at. I thought that would be my life forever. But then, one day, about a year after my accident, a girl came to the school to sell Girl Scout cookies. When she saw me mopping the floor with my wheelchair, her face lit up.
Daddy! Daddy! It's the man who saved me!
A gruff, older man followed the girl over to me. I recognized her now. It was the same Girl Scout I had saved from the car crash. I'm glad to see that you're okay. I was worried about you after I woke up.
My daddy and I worried about you too. But the ambulance wouldn't tell us what hospital they took you to.
We really did try to find you. I owe you a debt of gratitude for what you did for my daughter. Especially if that's the reason you're in that wheelchair now. Is there anything I can do to repay you, even in part? You don't have to do anything. I'm just happy your daughter's okay. Still, I feel like I ought to thank you. Maybe I can make a donation to your school? Is this where you study? I explained to him about how I had to drop out of school because of my medical bills, and that I was only at the school because I had lost my chance at the job I really wanted. He was really sympathetic about the whole thing. Did you say that the company you wanted to work at was Corporate Connections? Yes, they're the biggest company in the country, but I can't work there anymore. You have to be a college student already, or have a degree, and I can't afford college anymore. Well, don't worry about that. Since you saved my daughter, I'm going to pay off all your medical debts, and pay for you to go back to school. You would do that for me? You saved my daughter. I owe you even more than that. And I can give you one more thing. Even though it still won't be enough. I'm the CEO of Corporate Connections. If you still want to work there, I'll hire you right now. I was shocked, and at first I didn't believe him, but he was telling the truth. And pretty soon, I was working at the job of my dreams. The hiring manager who had rejected me ended up getting fired for being too mean to the people who worked for him, and when I got promoted, I got to handle a lot of the hiring decisions myself. I always made sure to be sympathetic to the people in crazy situations like I had been in. Some of them had even been faking, but I didn't want to ruin the dreams of a good person, just like mine had almost been ruined. I never did learn to walk again, but I don't mind the wheelchair so much. I have a great job, and the CEO and I have remained great friends. Making the choice to save one girl's life may have hurt a lot in the moment, but in the end, it led me to a better life than I could have ever imagined. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.